Good morning, Breakfast Club family. This is Mark Stevens, your host, Joe Shoup, and the great Shirley. Welcome to the Breakfast Club on this September 27th. Glad to have you back with us. This is the third installment. I'm quite sure you enjoyed the first two, and this one will just tie it down, if you will. I know you heard that, you've heard that expression before. So we're going to get right into it. We got some great guests today, and we're going to get right into it. So Joe, Shirley, how you doing?
I'm good.
I'm doing fantastic and amazing. And Shirley, thank you. And Shirley is our new addition here to help us with the questions, answers, and she's been a big part of Cooler Brands and our team. And she's volunteered to keep an eye on things. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and put them in the box here. In fact, if you would just say hello in the box, as I see Len and Roland, I will be sending you guys an email, not an email, but look on your screen and invite as speaker. I just did that for you, Len, and also for you, Roland. So you should see things on your screen. Follow the prompts, and I think you'll end up on our page here to say hello.
Good morning, Len and Roland.
Yes, good morning, good morning. If everyone else, some people type in, let us know. Yep, there we go. Hi, Vicki, good morning. And good morning, Rudy and Julie. And
Morning, Vicki.
so as we see what will happen, Len and Roland, you will end up, when you get the right buttons pushed and so on, you'll end up on the screen here. Yep, there we go. We got Roland in. Hi, Roland. How are you? Microphone. Look on the top and see if your mic is open or not muted or whatever. It might be muted.
Good morning, Corey.
Roland, you have a microphone on there. Somehow, some way, we got to get your microphone on. On the screen, we're ready to go with Roland. And I want to be on that island, wherever you are. Let's see.
Good morning, Cindy.
Joe Roland, I guess he has to check, if he has headsets, check that mic, or up top, as we see, cross up top, where you can mute your mic or unmute it.
Yeah, if you scroll to the top of the screen, Roland, you will be able, you'll see a whole bunch of icons. One of them is a microphone, and it might be muted.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been, but it might be.
If you scroll your mouse over, it'll tell you whether it's muted or not.
You might be able to, if is it possible. I don't see Len there yet, though. Any notice from Len? Let's ask Len if he's having trouble with that. I don't see him on the screen yet, but we're going to be a few minutes to Len. I want you to. We're gonna talk a few things. Look, our topic today is team building. Hey, Roland. I think we could probably get you on the telephone as far as the voice is concerned. So I'm going to call you on your telephone so that maybe we could get in that way. It's possible. Let me see if I could actually put you on speaker, if that doesn't actually affect my my voice. Hey, Roland. All right, I'm going to put you on speaker. I don't know what's happening with your phone, but I'm going to put you on speaker here, and I think everyone can hear you. Say hello, Roland.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Mark, could you hear that?
Yeah, it's faint, but I can't hear him. But it sounds like he's in the
Yeah, we
tone.
can hear it. It's a little faint, but we hear it.
No,
right, we're gonna try it that
way. Len keeps saying hello, so I don't know if he can get on or not.
He has to follow those prompts. Let me go over once again in the admin section and see if I can. Let me try this again.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Yes, if we can. If everybody can hear you, why don't we get anybody to type in the box? Can you hear Roland? I need you to see that, Shirley. If we can get somebody to answer that question, then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I can hear him, but he's faint.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go through this. Here's what we need to do. Roland, keep looking around on your microphone so that you can unlock this. If something is on your microphone that's not working, it's either at the top of the screen or you have a mute button on somewhere. That's the problem. Scroll to the top, and then you'll see a bunch of icons. When you scroll to the top, you can turn your microphone on and off. Let me see if I can do it on this end for Roland. Let me try this. Nope, you're unmuted on my end. So you should be able to have something on there. All right, we need to get started. Here's what we'll do. All right, this is, as Mark said, a three-part series. The whole process is about taking your group, turning into a team. That's what we're talking about here. Anybody can have a team, as we talked about. We've had many teams, and anybody can have a group. But having a real team, let's take a look. I mean, we know the acronyms here. You know, we know together everyone achieves more. But what does that really mean? I mean, what does it really mean that you have a team of people? Yeah. All right. I'm going to hang up from here. Don't worry about it. I'm going to hang my phone up. We'll get rolling in here. If not, we'll just bring them back next week and we'll be fine. And I'll tell the story what we were going to talk about. So we'll be good here. Now, once again, let's go to this team concept. And a lot of people, Mark, they don't understand team. They know what it means. They know that, you got a group of people. Some questions. Let's put a couple of words, maybe a description, and people on the call, what you think a team is. What is your explanation of being a team? Let's see if we can come up with some answers here. Let's try that and see if we can.
Tina and Cindy, maybe you need to go out and come back in. Well, maybe they probably can't hear me.
Yeah, they can hear you. Everybody hears you. We're good.
No, Tina and Cindy don't hear you.
Yeah, go out and back in. That's good. Thank you. All right, so let's see if anybody puts anything in there. What does it mean to be a team? What is the difference? I mean, what are the words that could describe? Let's describe what the team, what is it? What does it mean to you to have a team? A couple of little different words here. Words, one or two words that might describe it.
Let's give them a little help, Joe. Synergy would be one, so let them take it from there.
Yeah. Wow, very good. Work together, yep. And I wonder what that means. Working together. Somebody put up working together. Okay, does that mean meeting every day? Yeah, good job, Ken. Work together, common purpose. Let's try a
Len
couple.
can hear everybody. Evidently, he just can't get in.
Yeah, we got to get Len in for the next few minutes or so somehow. Ask Len to come in and out. Well, and come back in. Come on, we got to have some more answers up here. This is a team effort.
We'll give them a little more help, Joe. You got to speak the same language.
Mm-hmm. Let me know when you see Len come back in, Shirley.
Okay.
I see him down in the morning. Here he goes. He's back in. I'm going to do it again. Invite you as a speaker. There we go. All right. let's plan their work their plan. There's got to be, okay, accountability. That's another good one. Kirby. Just imagine a baseball team, a football team, a basketball team, a soccer team. Imagine that for a minute when it comes to team. That's what they are. They're a team. Do you think that... Go ahead.
Randolph says working at it as a unit to accomplish the same goals. That's good.
Yeah, that's real good. Yep. All right. Imagine for a moment that you were part of a baseball team. Imagine that for a moment, and you really didn't have, you had coaches, and there was no plan from the coaches. Let's take you back into Little League with baseball. Let's take you right back into the Little League. When you take, I started Little League at 5, 6 years old. That's our towns had groups, and all the kids, you know, the baby boomers were flooding into these sports things, mostly baseball and football when we were kids. But imagine for a moment that you are 6, 7 years old and you're going to get on a baseball team. Now, imagine if they just put the kids in the field and just hit the baseball and at shortstop or any of these, and they didn't teach the kid what to do. But the truth is, a good manager will teach the fundamentals of fielding a baseball.
Joe?
I see that. Yep.
Unmuted, but not working.
He's not on. He's actually not entered, or his picture, he would show up down the bottom with Mark and me and you.
Okay.
That he's not pushing the right buttons to get that video to work, to actually get into the call, the video. Sure. So he'll see if he can work on that. Hey, tell him to call. Well, I'll tell him now. Len, call Peter. He knows how to do that. So, when a little kid learns something, you don't teach one kid one way of fielding a ball and another kid another way. They might have their own style of running, but every kid learns to bend their knees on a ground ball, put their head down, and keep their eye on the ball. And they learn how to have the ball come into their glove with their right hand or left hand, whatever fielding they're doing, and smother the ball. And should be taught to every kid. It's called fundamentals. Fundamentals. You don't teach people differently to drive a car. There are fundamentals, pedals, things to push, buttons, steering wheel. They even have, in some states, I guess all over, it might be standard that they show you where to put your hands on the wheel. They're called fundamentals. Mark, in my opinion, as you know over the years, and Shirley as well knows this, that fundamentals are not taught. I see lots of instructions throughout the industry on get excited, just talk to the people, just go out, bring them over to me. All that stuff goes on. Fundamentals, in most cases, on what it means to bend down and field the ball, or pick up the phone and answer the questions and move them to where they need to go. Most people don't understand when they pick up that phone what direction they're supposed to be going. Imagine getting in a car and you know you want to go somewhere, but you don't have directions. Take you a long time to get there if you ever get there at all. It's why people fail in this business, because they don't have directions. Yeah, make a call, call your friends, bring them over to here, get them a website. Understanding the fundamentals. Now, when one understands fundamentals, then the next person can do the same thing, and the next person can do the same thing, and the next person do the same thing. When you put a kid at shortstop or second base, they don't change the way the ball is fielded. They put them there and teach them to do what Johnny just did. They watch films of the Mark, I remember, I coached baseball, that's why I talk about baseball, but I had a kid at 16 years old that I drafted onto our team way back. And this kid was 16 years old, throwing 80, 90 miles an hour. It was insane how fast this kid was. And he was also a catcher. He loved to catch, but he wouldn't listen to me about how to bend down and sit properly as the catcher. He was always on his toes, which you can't be flat-footed. If you watch every catcher in any baseball team, they're always flat-footed when the ball's coming. Signal, and they sit down, and he wouldn't do it. And ironically, he was a terrible catcher with a great arm. So I didn't let him catch. I couldn't, because the balls got by him. You know how to block, and he wouldn't listen to me. I had an attitude problem, and it's the same thing here. Fundamentals. You have to learn how to talk on the telephone. You have to know techniques. And you know, you might have come to your company and Cooler Brands. And, you know, it's wonderful that Peter created what he created. And we don't have to recruit or sell in this company to make money. So for those people, that none of this is going to matter. What matters is the people that are building. Mark and I have been at this over 20 years, and we've watched the people that grow are the people that learn the fundamentals, and then it is taught to another person and another person and another person. And just as someone said on here, just as they said it here, Mark said, synchronized, working a plan and planning your work together, consistent communication and unity. There's a word, Corey, consistent. That means that you're saying the same thing that someone else is saying. You're doing the same thing other people are doing. A group of people that just moves along at their own, with their own style is fine, because everybody's personality is different. We just had a meeting the other day about ad-libbing, the scripts that we use, the class that we teach. The scripts stay the same. The ad-libbing will be different for every person. We gave examples of ad-libbing. I'm going to ask you to jump in, Shirley, about what we were talking about the other day when I was explaining the difference between ad-libbing. You don't change the script. Tell us about what you learned that day.
Well,
Miss Shirley, there you go.
You just have to know what the other person is saying and then go back to the script.
But it's going to be different for you and me. I might say, sure, yeah, Bob, not a problem. Listen, I know that you have looked at the information. I know that you saw this particular thing. Now, that's not in a script. That's called an ad lib. But the question will be the same when we're at the end of this interview with someone. That's, Bob, I know you saw this. That's the ad lib. I know that you saw this information, and I know you're pretty familiar with our industry, but here comes the script. With a little coaching and training and a lot of support, can you see yourself doing what it takes to learn how to be successful here at Cooler Brands? That's the close. Your team, how to close like that. You have your group to do that. Then you have a team. If everybody's doing the same thing, that's why these people who take the class work on that project. Meet together to learn how to do these closes. They learn how to overcome, objections, so to speak. They learn how to move along to their objective. These are all fundamentals. This is bending down and fielding the ball with two hands. Unless that occurs, that occurs, you are not ever going to have a team. If you're not teaching your people how to pick up the phone after they've received a piece of information from you, they've looked at the information, maybe they filled out a capture page. You still don't know until you speak to someone. You don't know if they have looked at a 35-minute video that Peter does, the webinar, record it. You don't know how far they got.
Okay,
What
Joe.
is your question to them once you get on the phone? Are you all saying the same thing? That's a team. Each other, just like these teams that meet with us. But their teams are meeting to get the words right. Mark, you go ahead. I'm going to go over, and is Len still on the call?
Yeah,
I'm going to give him a panel. Tell him I'm going to give him a different login to ignore everything he had and log out of this. Yeah, good. Hi, Len. Len, I am going to send you a link. Give me a few minutes. And Mark, you go ahead and talk. I mean, everybody wants to talk and wants to hear Len, and I'm excited to hear what Len and I have been working on in the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to go over there, Mark, and I'm going to make him a presenter. He's going to have a different link, and he'll be able to come in differently.
Okay.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah.
I wanted to let you guys know about my lady in New York. I've been working with her since January,
Uh-huh.
and I called her quite a while back and told her that, and we visited and found out that she was waiting to get a cochlear implant because she was so hard of hearing. And they finally got one of the webinars with a closed caption, and she's so excited about it. I told her the other day, and she's been watching it, and she's so excited about it that I'm gonna call her Thursday and get her all enrolled and everything. But that's how you just, I wouldn't have known that she couldn't hear if I hadn't called her.
Uh-huh. That's great.
So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, she'll be very excited about that. That is
Yeah,
great.
and she said she's been watching it all week, so that's good because that means more than once, and she really likes it.
Great. Great. Well, another thing that Joe has mentioned on occasion is that that makes a team. For example, everything Joe has said on many occasions that if you bought something, say you bought a vacuum cleaner, you bought a car, anything like that, it comes with instructions, which is very important. If everyone are getting the same instructions, if they are following the same instructions, that helps you become a team. Because as he said, he's always said, be careful in the direction that you're headed, because you may end up where you're going. And I always add to that, you might not can get back. So you want to have the proper instructions so that you know how to head where you're going and you know how to operate, with the synergy of the team. That's what makes you a team. You have to. That's what you always have to do, because in a group, you can have a group of people, and I mean it can be a good group, but if even if one or two people in the group are going in totally different directions, that kills the team concept. And again, as I said before, together everyone achieves more. That's what team means. The way you're going to achieve more is that you're going to work more the same way. You're going to talk more the same way. You're going to share more the same way. You're going to interview more the same way. You're going to be a director the same way. You're going to be a director in training the same way. So if you're doing everything the same way, that makes you a team. Now, something else is that with a team, you have to have a good, strong leader. And as we often say, that people follow people with courage. And it takes courage to lead a team, because guess what? The team is going to depend on you to lead them. The team is going to depend on you to give them instruction. And it's not that you're lording over anybody or trying to tell anybody what to do, because a good team leader cares about the team, because as you're going to find in your business, and especially in the type of business that we're in and doing, people don't care how much you know, they care how much you care. So a good team leader is going to show individuals how much they care by leading them in the right team concepts and about teaching them about the right team concepts. And again, everything comes with instructions. So like when you take the class, when you do the various things that Joe has been teaching us, well, that makes you a team. So Joe, you back yet?
I'm back here. Yeah, I wanted to. I'm getting ready to send Len a link now. Tell him to look for it because it's coming.
Okay.
I'm going back in here and I'm sending over that link. And look, this is a different platform than everybody else uses. We have a Webinar Jam. It's absolutely different than everyone else's. So, you know, people don't understand this. I guess we were going to go over this earlier, and we thought, well, it'll be okay. We'll just get you on there. So I apologize for not getting this right in the beginning, but we'll learn a lesson here, and we'll do it right this time. I will make sure everybody that's going to speak has the. So I have a link for him that I'm sending out very, very shortly. So. He'll have that, and just follow those instructions, Len, and we'll see what happens there. You should be able to get in here, so I apologize. But look, let's go back to this. I was going to talk about Roland. Roland is someone I've known for quite a while. He's been a member of the Breakfast Club a while. We never worked together except for Cooler Brands. And in the last 4 weeks that he's been here, we have been doing exactly the same thing. He probably puts me on the phone every day, a couple times a day, with new people. He's working. He goes to work. He does the same thing. People over his information, the opt-in page, they look at it. He calls them and puts them on with me. We have the same exact conversation with every single person. He introduces me exactly the way you're supposed to. That's in our class. That's a script. If you've been in this industry long enough, they teach you things about edifying. I probably have been against that for 20 years because most people get on and they want to tell you how wonderful the person is that they're going to talk to now. Here's Bob Smith, and Bob is wonderful. He's great. Look, I don't need to know how wonderful Bob is when you introduce me. I introduce Peter to everybody that comes in, and that's after they have been registered, after they have enrolled. And Peter does exactly the same thing. Obviously, we didn't have to have a talk. Peter says the same thing to the people that he says to the other person. First of all, I want to thank you for trusting us to guide you through this process. That's how he starts. And thank you for joining and trusting us to be a member here at Cooler Brands. And then a conversation ensues if they ask questions. That changes a little. But I introduce Peter exactly the same way every time. Every time. He'll tell you it's word for word. Now that's, if you teach your people to do things like that, we have a script for welcoming someone. If I call Mark and say, Mark, I have a new member, and Mark knows exactly what to do with that person. And I introduce Mark exactly the same way every time. If you don't do that and don't come up with a system whereby influencing never stops, you won't have a system and you won't have a team. You'll have a group. And that's why we create systems. Mark, I'm going to hit a go live button here and see what this does. I don't think it means anything yet. I got to send him that presenter link. And it looks like I can do it right now. Okay, I just sent him a live room link, and you tell him, and this will be good because Len and I have been working together as well in the last week. So when Roland, though, puts people on with me, he says the same thing. And there's a system, there's a process. It's just like explaining Cooler Brands. Julie, who's on the call, sent me an email last night. Joe, I have a group of people I'm going to be meeting. Can you give me a 1-minute explanation on what I should say about Cooler Brands? So I wrote her back and I told her to go to her notes from the class, and the explanation is in there. I wanted her to find it. And guess what? I guarantee you she now knows, and a light bulb went off when she saw it. And went, oh, yes, I remember. There it is. What is it? It's a system. It's the name of the company, how long they've been around, how many countries we can distribute to, what the company does, and what we do. Those things are important. That's the pattern you follow when asked about the company. When you introduce someone, it's not this massive, they're wonderful, they're great. It's, this is Mark Stevens, Bob. He's been in the industry now for 18 years. He's he's helped people be successful working from home. He's one of the trainers in our company. And Mark, this is Bob. That's all you say about Mark. I don't have to say how wonderful he is. What people want to know when you introduce them is, do they have experience to handle the questions that are coming that I'm going to ask them? Am I talking to somebody important that knows what they're doing? Because my friend is bringing me over there, and my friend doesn't know a lot. He's brand new. But does Mark Stevens know? And that's why you say Mark has been in the industry so many years. He's had great success teaching people how to have a successful business from home. He's one of the trainers in our company. And that's it. If you have that pattern down, everybody does the same thing. Of course, little things will change, how long they've been in the industry and so on. When I get on the call, Roland introduces me to these people, and he's just quiet for the whole time. At this particular point, I tell the story. Number one is how I know Peter, because I want them to trust the man who's behind all of this. So I have a little bit. Now, everybody's story will be different there. But I suggest you say, well, I work with so-and-so. I work with, Mark or Shirley. And they are connected to the owner of the company. If you're not, if you don't have that relationship where you've had for 10, 15 years, then you can't say that. But you do work with Corey, who knows, I work with Jan, who has been with Peter. And that's the start of it. But the first thing you have to do when you get that person on the call is do a little interview. You're going to explain your relationship. Here's who, as Roland said, I've been here 22 years. I teach people how to be successful from home, and I'm excited to be with Cooler Brands. I know the owner. But, Bob, I have a question for you before we start. A couple little questions. Then we'll get to your questions. But I need to know a couple of things. I got to get up to speed. That part is ad-libbed. It's not the script. It's ad-libbing at that stage. And I ask them the question. This is what we teach, right? We teach them, what is it that Roland said to you that caused us to get together today? In other words, what do you know about Cooler Brands so far? If you don't ask that question, how in the world can you possibly know what that person is thinking, where they are? If you teach your people to do that, your group starts to become a team. They all ask the same question. You know why that's important? Because if Mary brings somebody to me, she is confident that I am going to ask that question. I am going to do exactly the same thing. I'm not going to vary from this process. She knows what to expect. And within 5 to 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, we are done that conversation. It's a little longer in Cooler Brands because we explain crowdfunding in there. But the process of me explaining, first asking, what do they know? That gives them an opportunity to say, well, I looked at the webinar, I did this, I did that, I saw this, I have an understanding of it. And I say, okay, great. And then there's 3 other questions that come up. I want to know a little bit more about this person. So those questions, again, come in. But if you don't teach that process, then you don't know what to expect when you take somebody to a three-way. You could end up 40 minutes on a phone talking about the webinar, talking about Kickstarter and Indiegogo and how products get. You do explain a little bit about that, but you can't be 40 minutes on the phone trying to educate somebody how it works. I didn't know anything about crowdfunding. Mark did. I didn't. I had to take the time after Peter and I talked. I had to go and investigate and study this on my own. That's part of my responsibility if I want to be part of this company. So the process of finding the interested party should be the same thing. Now, you'll have different methods. That's a group of people who learns how to be a team because they're doing what a lot of people put up here, that they are learning how to follow patterns. They're learning language. They're learning techniques. If you're going to continue to operate in a system where it was not successful over the last so many years, if you're going to continue to operate there, Mark just said it, you're going to end up in the same place. Be careful of that direction because you're going to end up where you were. I think, Mark, it's time that people understand that Peter Gantner created something totally new to this industry. It's new. It's exciting and new. It's a whole new concept. Then why not take your person, your expertise, your education, and turn it into something new as well, instead of getting the same old stuff. That's the only way your group is going to turn into a team, if you lead the way. When you lead the way, they will follow, because you have enough courage to make the change. If you're going to do the same thing you did before, it's not going to work. People, but if you want to build a large organization, if you want to take advantage, if you want to do that, you better understand group. And I can see now we have the man of the hour on the call. Can you hear us, Len?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There you go. All right. Well, we learned a little lesson here. We'll just give everybody the instead of inviting them on the call. So I guess some people have things going on. Either way, listen, welcome to the Breakfast Club, your first time here as a guest, and we will have you back more and more as we move along. I'm excited, so thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I know we all appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it too. It's just been an amazing experience, you know.
I think we're going to get right into it with you because we wanted to. I think I probably explained enough with Roland what's going on. I work every day with Roland, Glenn. Every single day, there's phone calls. I've met his people. Half of his people have gone to this communication class we always talk about. They jumped into it because they want to learn. Have known of each other since I came to the company, and we met a couple of weeks ago. And I was so excited. It's one of the reasons I really wanted to go. I wanted to meet you. I had said that before. And just have the talks. I was excited about your inventions. I'm like everybody else. I have an invention that I'm going to be working on. And with your help, we'll get that done. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a big hit. Maybe it won't. But I think it will. We sat and talked. We met at Starbucks. It was a great meeting for me. And I was able to talk to other people that were there, Steve and his wife, and Doug, and meet these people. But you and I got into a discussion. So I just want you to, first of all, and I guess most people in here know your story. So let's talk about you as the inventor, the person whose life dream was to and take his expertise, invent things to help people, and then we'll talk about the group part of it, the team part of it, and how to develop that team, because that's what Len said to me. I want to learn how to develop that team. I've done all this, and I've been in other companies, but here's what I need. I'm an expert over here, but I need to be an expert over there. And his whole thing was, Joe, I want my team to learn, and that's where his heart was. I want to learn so that my team can learn, and he's absolutely on the right track. So, Len, why don't you tell us about, our meeting, what you do, what your background, and your excitement about being an inventor, and we'll move into the team concept.
Well, my background, I've had several businesses, and I've had some, some slight success with one of them, and then I moved into the private sector and worked for other companies, and I did okay. I get along with everybody, and I have a great skill set that I can offer to the employers. But my passion has always been about having a business and developing a product and being able to make something that people enjoy and like, and being able to sell that. But I'm a terrible salesman. That's just the fact of the matter. I just never had those skills. I can invent something. You give me a problem, and I'll come up with a solution, and come up with multiple ways to make this item or process or whatever it is. I just have a really strong skill set there. But I've always failed. I never had the sales ability, and I've never really been into contact with somebody that could teach me that, like Joe. So when going through this process with Peter, and being incredibly blessed to have just incredibly blessed to be able to these two lines, Cooler Brands and Zip and Store, intersected and has just created this an amazing product, an amazing future for me and for the people that are going to share in this. And so as this is moving forward, I have a front row seat to all these things that are happening, the development of 8 moles and the details. And I was up till 6 o'clock this morning on the East Coast here, dealing with the different things from China and all the suppliers, and because some of the stuff we just have to have from China, they're going to be injection molded in Oklahoma, but I'm still working all these things and trying to get all the details done, and working with Peter as this moves forward. And I've just been blessed to be able to share with a lot of friends and people that I've just kind of run across, and I share that it's such a passionate thing that I can share it so easily, and I know it, and I know it inside and out. And when you know something so well, you can share it so easily. And so I've been able to share this, and I've kind of gotten this group together of people, and so I have this I'm part of this great thing, this amazing, Cooler Brands, but I'm not sure how to help these people. And I've gotten this question from them, well, what do I do next? And then I fly out a couple weeks ago, and I meet Peter and Doug for the first time, and I have the opportunity to meet Joe as well. And I've heard him talk before, and I was on the Breakfast Club there one time, and I've just kind of really captivated by what he had to say and the process that he has. And so as we met there, that's I think that was Saturday, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So as I met him there, he's telling me, what he does and how he does it, and it's like, oh my gosh, So it's like we have this amazing chocolate Texas sheet cake, and it tastes so good, and he has the recipe for it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to learn that recipe. I want to learn that recipe so that I can share it with these people that I care about, that are in my group, so that they have that recipe, and so that they can replicate it, and they can make this cake kind of as an example, Joe, he just has the recipe. And that's one of the things that I can invent stuff. I can make things, but this other part I'm just not as good at. you know. And so when I hear, him talking about these scripts and different things, it's like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense, you know. And I don't have to worry about what I have to say, what I should say, because once I memorize these lines, then I can put them in where they're appropriate, where they need to be said, and I can do these little ad-libs before and after them that help my person feel comfortable, or the person that we're bringing into Cool Bands, because it's such an amazing thing, you know. And it has given me like, oh my gosh, this is it. Okay, now this completes the circle. We have the great idea, you know, and I get a front row seat at that and be able to help share that with people. And then we have Cooler Brands, and it's just an amazing, it's completely amazing. And now we have this third part of the circle that completes everything, so that I know how to share and present to people and help my group and help these people and help them have success. And
Len, I know that you have you're building a group of people and a team putting this together. I mean, I know that. We see that. And the important part now is what a lot of people probably focus on is, you know, I got to go out and I find the people. But we said this last week, you don't have a recruit until your recruit has a recruit. So you can put 20 people in this business. If they say, I love this, I'm going to share it, and they don't have success doing it, more people. But why do we want to find 20? Certainly we're going to do that. We're going to keep sharing. But if we can't teach the people to be part of a system, if we can't teach them how to do it, the reason they're not getting other people is they don't understand how to do it. And it's the industry. And I want to say something. This is not just about Joe did this and said that and so on. Mark Stevens, Shirley, all these people that are part of this system that we have. And Mark really was the first person about 3 years ago that jumped into the class, and he was like you. You know, Mark has been in the industry a long time. He tells his story, and then all of a sudden, his eyes were open to, my gosh, we're telling the wrong story in this industry. I mean, Mark, you might want to elaborate a little bit on that too, because this is not one isolated incident. This is the entire industry, in my opinion, after 22 years and during the 20 years, see this happening and people not having success because they're afraid to talk to people, afraid to pick up the telephone, don't know how to answer questions because they don't know who they are when they're on the phone and don't know how to move them to the next step, which could be get them another piece of information or get them to a director. It's only two options you have. So, Mark, you might want to comment on that. I mean, Mark is an expert. Mark could run a class live. Mark could talk on the phone and do exactly what this whole system does without fail. There's no fear in Mark. He can walk into businesses and talk to people, and that's what he likes to do, being live with people and be able to do the right technique in walking in, talking to somebody live. He knows how to do that. And I'm just, I was excited because honestly, in all these years, Mark Stevens was the number one person of all time that I ever had in the class that actually took all this and ran with it. And now, if God forbid I shouldn't be around, I guarantee you Mark Stevens picks up the ball and he's right there. He's there with me anyway, but he's right there with it to do everything the way. Why? Because it's a system. It's like you inventing things, Len, like going to the mold companies and getting it done. There's a system to it. You boom, you go to them, it comes back. That's a system. Oh, Mark, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, well, the challenge is that all these years, and as you said, Joe, you discovered it's being done wrong because, again, terminology perception, it has to make sense. And what a lot of people fight with is that 800-pound gorilla, and that's the telephone. And the reason that they're afraid and don't want to get on the telephone is that they do not know how to communicate. And again, once, like Linda said, once you take that class and you learn these concepts and you learn these scripts, and once, don't change the scripts, when you know the scripts, then you can ad lib even better once you know the scripts, because you know it backwards and forward. You know that you're in the middle, you're at the end, at the beginning, and you know whether you're a director in training, you know whether you're a director. And when you learn those things, you feel more comfortable. But the key thing is that when your team learns it, and when you teach your team, and you get your team involved in the communication class, then guess what? Everybody is saying the same thing. It's just like, well, what does Cooler Brand do? Three important points is what? Launching, branding, and marketing. You have to know how to tell them, what does Cooler Brands do? And how do I benefit? You know, you benefit from the reverse, the sharing of the profits that come in, reverse revenue. They haven't heard those terms before. You're going to have to know how to explain those terms. And you learn that by being able to communicate, because, again, if you give them the wrong terminology, they won't understand what you're saying. And a lot of times you won't get them. But if you're saying the same thing, if you're traveling the same direction, remember, everything comes with instructions, and you get instructions in the class. What did Einstein say? It's about the training of the mind. Once you do that, Joe, I mean, it could be like a walk in the park, and you have that confidence and you have that passion. That's the other thing, passion. That's why I like to be out in the street, because if people can feel your passion and see your passion, see how passionate you are about something, just on that, they want to get involved. That's how it works. So there you are, Joe.
Well, just imagine, Len, just imagine this for a minute, that you had in your group a person who wanted to bring, had somebody they wanted to bring to a three-way. Your other people, somebody in the company volunteered, and you didn't know what that person was going to do. The director, let's call them. That's what we call it. The director's job is to direct them, find out whether or not we really have a match, and get them over to enrollment, right? So just imagine for a minute you had somebody on your team who decided that their friend John was the person they wanted to take their new prospect to, community member. John is not that educated, but he's a nice guy, and Mary's friends with him. Mary likes the way he talks, and Mary takes Frank over to John. You know how to do this, but he's a friendly guy. He's going to tell his story. He's got all this excitement, and he spends 30-40 minutes on the phone with this person, while Susie, on the other hand, is bringing that person to Len. A 30-second introduction of Len. We have Len following a pattern of, let's find out. Len wants to know, look, this is a person we're bringing on our team. So let's find out from Len's point of view, do you want to work with this person? I mean, let's find out who they are. Let's find out what they've seen, what they know about Cooler Brands, what they currently do, and where they see themselves in 5 years. That pattern's going on, and within 10 minutes, Len is off the phone. We're over at enrollment, and John is over there explaining, the weather in Iowa. Is there too. Now, I can't imagine that Len would like John doing three-ways for his group. Would you, Len?
No, I don't think so. Definitely not. No.
And that's what Len's talking about. He's on this director course of being able to help all his people. That's what he said to me. I want to learn that process of being that director. This is a smart guy. This is a guy who got it immediately when we talked. This is a guy who said, I'm going to learn. And because of that, he jumped into the communication class, took both parts of the class, spent 3 hours in his busy schedule with all this invention stuff with Zip and Store and talking to people in China. He jumps in and takes the class. Now, that's the second part. I got to learn that now, too. And that's where he's headed. That's why he's excited, because he now has support with that. And so he's going to be working with all of us here into these practice sessions and learn what these people are doing. And as he said to me, I want to be that director. I'm going to be the guy they come to, because I want my team to be a team, things to do. So I'm excited about that, Len. I appreciate you being here. I'm very excited about who you are and your desire to get this system down.
Well, I have this desire to be. I mean, I want to be. So I've heard Zig Ziegler say, if you want to be, you have to do. And if you want to do, you have to have. So if I don't have this information, if I don't have the skills, if I don't have these, know exactly what I can say to somebody, then I can't do and I can't be. I can't be for my people what I need to be. So, I had the responsibility of bringing them into this. So I have the responsibility of helping them move forward. I just can't give them something and like, okay, there you go. You're on your own. So it's a responsibility of mine that I take very seriously, and I care about these people. And so because of that, I want to help them and help them be as well. I want them to be so that they can help the people that's in their circle, and that we can be a great team together.
My passion is what yours is to helping people. I thought I was going to be a teacher, like a high school teacher at one point. And that's what I was. And then, of course, after high school, was out to work and wanted to make money. And I always had that passion. So, this industry gave me the opportunity to teach. It's not the same as going into a high school every day and going into whatever, a school to teach. But we get to teach people real things in life. Most of the people in this arena are not making money. Now, we're changing that. Peter's idea has changed all that, and there's no question about it. But if you really want to build, you still have to learn. You have to keep learning. I'm going to put this up for the last 5 minutes. I want to share my screen a minute. I think I can do that real quick, Mark. I'm pretty sure I still have that. And let me see what this does for me. Share entire screen. It's going to give us a little strange thing here for a minute, and let's see if I can get this up here. Can you see my screen, Mark?
Yeah, I can see it now. I see it.
Building screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at this real quick. This is what we need to know about team building. We got to have one common goal. Somebody said that today, and that's what we just talked about. Common goal is to educate people about so they can make a decision. Decisions are only as good as the facts those decisions are based upon. If people don't have all the facts, they can't make a decision. Get the facts. How do you do it? You follow a pattern. Here's what we do. We find the interested parties. How do you do that? You invite them to take a look at the 35-minute video that Peter has for the webinar, a recorded or live webinar. I prefer a recorded one, so I don't have to wait a week, a day, an hour. They can do it immediately. That's it. Our common goal in that area should be go watch the 30. Peter says it all the time. That's the thing to do. Watch 35 minutes. It's always been that way in our industry. Go watch this, and here's the terminology. Let's get back together again and see if we're on the same page. That's all we're trying to do. Take another step from there. That's part of the dialogue we learn. Exactly what Len says, self-learning. How in the world are you going to help others if you don't learn? And you know what? If you don't learn and you follow, you can point to someone who is. For instance, if somebody on Len's team wants to crowdfund and doesn't really want to recruit, but she comes across somebody who says, wow, I really like this, but I'd like to build a business. I know you're not. What do you think she's going to do? Start educating her? No, she's going to point to someone else. Art Williams taught us that. Point up to Len. They point to Mark. They point to Shirley. They point to someone who's educated. You have to learn the process. It's either you're going to do it or you're going to point to somebody else. Team building, cooperation. This is this group to team. You have to have cooperation. Issue right now, the people on Len's team are going to follow what he's doing. With the invention part of it, there's no doubt in my mind. Imagine that you were the inventor for a moment and you were teaching people how to be productive. Not so much in the invention field, but how they can take advantage of not only his invention, but someone else's. And that's what we're about. And then identifying the strengths. Len, Mark, maybe someone isn't capable, maybe they're not confident enough to be that director. So they remain the director in training, someone who moves the person to the director. Maybe their strength is not in explaining and answering questions. That's okay. Not everybody has to be the director, but you have to be part of a system whereby you go to directors, because that is where the system doesn't stop influencing. You've got to know who the strengths are. Like I explained about John. I'll be darned if I'm going to take somebody to somebody like John who's going to spend 40 minutes on the phone that I don't know what the heck's going to happen. They might even be talking about, you know, where they lived when they were kids, and maybe they lived near each other. I don't want any of that going on. So as the director, are we right for each other? If we are, we're going to move forward. If not, then I'm going to find out who they know that would be interested in a career change for the right money. Another part of the dialogue. Go to motivation. You know what? We see that on the Influencer Club. Corey, Doug, Jan, we see people in there like Kendra. People putting, you know, we see Kathy in there and other members putting information in there for motivation. Get motivated to go. The only part that's missing, in my opinion, is the part we're talking about today. Getting them to be a team, motivating them to something, and productivity. And I think that being part of that and going in and seeing the inspiration and quotes and escapes me. I apologize to this person that creates the new photos, the new things that people can use. That's all motivation. Until you get active with the phone call, the connection, the communication with someone, that passive activity of using emails, using marketing systems, and so on, that's a passive type of activity. Learn the process of actually communicating, you know, those two things blend together, then you have a start to build that team. There's no happier place than to be at Cooler Brands. It's the greatest enjoyable workplace I've ever been. The thing that it leads to, communication. I didn't make this chart. Communication. It comes down to communicating your message properly and being able to direct people where you want them to go, learning the techniques to make that happen. And the end result is productivity. Team does. They have this common goal of learning, cooperating, identifying strengths, who's going to be your director, how are we going to do that, motivating the people, being happy at the workplace, communicating it properly, and the end result is productivity. Top of the hour. I apologize for the delays we had. I guess we learned some. I did today. I know now that we'll make sure we have the instead of inviting people to do it. Some people's computers don't work like others, I guess, or something goes wrong. But either way, Lana, yeah, go ahead. Somebody said something.
Well, that was me. I just wanted to let people know also, if I had not gotten the courage to call my lady in New York, I would not have found her problem and asked Jan how I can, if he can make a closed caption so that she could see it. If I hadn't gotten the courage to call her, I wouldn't have got her on board.
So let me ask you about your courage. Where'd that come from?
You, the class.
But the class, the knowledge, the education.
Yeah. I mean, it took me 3 classes to finally get it, but I'm sure glad I got it.
Yeah, we're glad you got it too. We're glad. We're happy because it's, we have a team of people, and we just, in my opinion, Len, we just have to keep creating and putting and having people part of a team that moves forward in the right direction with everything. Social media. I mean, Corey does a great job with teaching people, how to go out and I believe, and Len, I think you'll agree with this. Zip and Store would not be the success that it is. I mean, starting with you and Down and Peter and the idea, but without social media and training, teaching people how to go out and promote this to get 30 million views, it wouldn't be where it is. So all this is a team building process, learning all of it. You've got to learn social media. I'm one of those people. as well. And I'm on my time learning to do that as well. But it takes more than that. It takes that communication. And, you know, Len, I'm going to let you finish up here with some comments. I'm excited to work with you and looking forward to our relationship in the future, and excited for you to get back here to Phoenix.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you, guys. This has just been an amazing, and I say amazing so many times. I don't know what other word to put in play. That is just, it really has been an amazing thing. I've enjoyed Peter's relationship for the past 7-8 years, and I met Doug, and I met you, Jan, Corey. What an amazing group of people to be involved in such a wonderful organization that has the potential to literally, you know, change people's lives and help them change careers. And you know, I listen. I try to listen to a lot of positive, motivating things. And one guy was talking about that 85% of people don't like their job, and they would rather do something else, but they just don't have that desire or that motivation, you know. And he was, and Corey showed me this here. This gentleman, he talked about this guy that he wanted to be successful, and so he goes to this guy that is he's just extremely successful, and so he says, "Meet me on the beach," you know. And maybe you've heard the story. He takes him out into the water and he pushes his head underwater, you know. And then he says, you know, when you want to be successful, like you want to breathe, that's when you're going to be successful, you know. And I'm like, I was up till 6 o'clock last night, and I maybe got a half an hour, 45 minutes of sleep before I had to get back up and do some other things, you know. And during that time, before I presented to Cooler Brands, you know, there was a deadline, you know, and Peter kept saying, "Look, Len, don't worry about it. There's only 24 days left, you know. Don't worry about Len. You got 10 more days and 6 more days." There was a period there where I was up for 3 days and 3 nights, and I never drank a coffee. I never took any caffeine. I don't take drugs. It was pure, we're talking pure motivation here, where it was, the feeling was just incredible of being a part of this and having belief in this, that, wow, this is going to succeed, and I know it is, and I'm putting all my effort into it, and I want it like I want air to breathe, and that's how bad I wanted it, and that's how bad I still want it, you know. And if people can catch, people see that motivation in me, and that drive and that passion, the belief in the idea, and how this worked with Cooler Brands, and how connected, and how it ties people together and bonds them and helps them as well. You know, what an amazing thing. And I am so blessed to be a part of this, and I thank you, Joe and Mark, for being able to come on here today and share. And my desire is to help people and help these people that are in my group and bless them, you know, just like Zip and Store, whenever, you know, down the road, whenever we're in retail stores everywhere. And the income from this is helping bless these people that helped me with this idea. How awesome is that?
Well, you're not off the hook. You're going to be back here. I'm going to have a challenge for you in a couple of weeks to come back and do a director call right on this call.
I'll do. I'm game. I'll do it. Absolutely.
I know you will. I know you will. But I'm excited also with you here, man. And in the future, I'm going to just throw this out because I really have run this by Mark yet, but I'm going to say it. You're listening to the call and the replays, and you can always go to YouTube. A lot of people go to YouTube without actually logging into Webinar Jam. We usually get done, and all of a sudden we see there are 50 more people that jumped on the call, but we don't see them on here because they went through YouTube channel and they can see it. Anybody in the world right now could go to YouTube and go to my page and actually click and listen live. They could do that. But here's what I'm going to ask somebody, of people that are on there. And by the way, it was Barb, I believe, that is the one putting the photos out of different ways to promote, logos and photographs and things to invite people to look at Cooler Brands. Now, I was going to say that you want to, and you have a story, a success story with Cooler Brands that you want to share, send me an email at the New Breakfast Club at earthlink.net or jpshoop@earthlink.net. Let me know. Let's talk. And I want to bring on some guests on to here. This time we'll give them presenter codes. And they will come in and kind of be interviewed and tell your story a little bit for a few minutes. So if you want to be part of that, just holler out us and we will make some decisions on who we'll bring in, and that'll be exciting for some people who want to share a little bit. And I think there are some people who want to do that. So we'll make that available for people. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this back to Mark. And I'm thankful, Len, that, we're able to be honest with each other on, what we know, what we don't know, how we can help each other, how we can help each other's team. This is a great opportunity for us to help Len's team and other teams, because all of the production on everybody's team in this entire company, and the way that works is worldwide sales of any product that we have funded, any product that we have brought to the marketplace. The gross sales will determine the point or royalty point value that he benefits from every sale in the company. I don't know of any other project, company, or anything other than profit sharing on major companies. I don't know anybody that's ever had that ability and had that opportunity. So I'm excited about that. And I just want to leave, before Mark, you close, is this. You said this, and I'm going to say it again. And I say this to people, and you learn this in the class as well, and talk about the guy who actually came up with this. And I'm just going to paraphrase it and say, be careful of the direction that you are going. You may end up where you're headed. If you want change, if you want to get better, and it hasn't worked from one direction, then change the direction. Be careful of staying where you are if it's not gotten you anywhere. That's the message. Change what you're doing. Change how you're thinking, as Einstein said. Not the learning of facts. It's the training of the mind to think. That, again, Len, thanks for being here. Shirley, thanks for all your help. I appreciate you as well. Anything on the board we need to answer?
No, there are no questions today.
Okay, good. And Mark, over to you. Mark Stevens, my partner and confidant, and has taught me a lot of things about life in general, and I appreciate it, Mark. I especially know that I'm fantastic, amazing, and heading towards phenomenal, thanks to you.
Okay. Great program. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Shirley, Joe. It's a phenomenal opportunity. And again, like Lynn is saying, he wants to share it with the world, and we'll be able to do that. So, but again, it's very important. We'll be back here next week. You want to get your team in. You want to get people that you bring into the business. That communication is so important, because it will change the way that your business operates, and it'll make you a professional. And when you're in business, you want to be like a professional, because that's what people really expect, and that's what they expect it and they respect it. So with that being said, peace and blessings, everyone. Go out and make it a great, cooler day, cooler week, cooler month, and cooler life. So with that being said, this is Mark Stevens for your host, Joe Shoup, saying peace and blessing, everyone. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next week on The Breakfast Club.